Shout out to the next tier of your world. So,
Thank you.
so what are you doing after this series of albums drops?
Oh my gosh, that's the big thing that I've been holding for this whole interview. So with this project, I've been developing it and kind of piloting this idea of combining art and Torah and Judaism and like bringing bringing bridging those gaps um, together. Um, but the next step of it, something that I loved was that this was an opportunity for me to be impassioned by this creative process, but it was insular. It was me projecting this outwards, and like you said, there's aspects of it where it's educational and it's not just like a selfish pursuit, but it still remained my father, my sister. The title of this project is called Bitzalel Koli. Bitzalel was like the artisan of the temple, and Koli means like in my voice. And the idea of it is like the blueprints of the ancient temple from like 2,000 years ago. The blueprints of it were created from this artisan of the past, but it's only like demonstrated through the future and through like our individual voices, and not something that's like fossilized in history, but revitalized through art and through interpretation. That's the concept, but also it's kind of like a play on words because my youngest sister's name is Salel Koli, her middle name, and so it's kind of like this project is this nepotistic sister father family art project that's like very internal and kind of that same thing of inaccessible because it's this internal dialogue. And what I took this course this year, what that was about, how do you not be like a lone wolf creating creative works and doing like within yourself, but how do you, as a rabbi, the goal is to serve people and to empower, elevate other people. So I'm launching this project, which is based off of Bitzalel Koli, but it's called the Amen Institute. And Amen stands for art, music, education, neshama, which in Hebrew means soul. Um, and so the Amen Institute, it brings rabbis and artists together, visual artists together, where they're going to be studying like in the same way that like we we would write a sermon. I created this fellowship for rabbis that they would write a sermon and study those ideas with an artist, and then have an artist who like it doesn't necessarily come from like a religious background, like an artist who happens to be Jewish, not like someone who like necessarily puts, but like very, very talented artist to try and subvert the rabbi's understanding of that text and make them rethink it by having this communal dialogue with one
Yo, I
another.
would fucking jump on that. That sounds like the
Yeah,
littiest shit a rabbi's ever pitched me.
yeah. And it's the idea is that from that the artist will be inspired by like this, by kind of the rabbi teaching them, but fully like take this knowledge and create whatever art you want from it, but like use it as inspiration. And then the artist comes and says, okay, now let me teach the rabbi and teach them my interpretation, and come at it like using their art as a way to teach the rabbi. And then the rabbi writes a sermon, like scrap everything he knows, writes a sermon based off of this interaction, and then repeat that for like every week of the year. um, and then at the same time, I'm going to be like, I'm creating this institution, and I'm going to be present and making songs about each of these art pieces. But now like it's another rabbi's sermon, it's another artist's art piece, and I'm kind of like promoting them as much as possible. And something, so this innovative course that I took, I interviewed different people, you were one of them, and I was really listening for what are elements of pain, what are things that like that artists who are Jewish kind of feel like is missing from their feeling of Judaism. And what I felt with a lot of them is Judaism at its base is so creative and has all of these opportunities for artists to latch onto, and to kind of, to the spiritual component of it makes so much sense. But Jewish institutions, a lot of the time, especially synagogues and a lot of those worlds, are exclusive and don't allow
Big
artists to like
facts.
to use that to use that to harness their own creativity, and to empower them to be like bastions of wisdom, and to spread that wisdom like in the centerfold of communities, in the center of the community, to allow artists to be like almost a rabbi voice giving a speech, but through their art and through that canal. So what I'm doing is I'm partnering with synagogues around the world, around North America, where each week synagogues, they have like a weekly newsletter. And so I'm gonna have like that each week that these artists are making these art pieces. I'm going to have the Jewish Artist of the Week, where there's going to be a bio about that artist. They're going to have a blurb about like this art piece and a picture of this art piece that they've done. And like I'm spreading it to at least one in every state and province. And I don't know about the territories, but there's synagogues in every province, and like really trying to have that in itself is partnering with 60 synagogues. But like right now we're in 5 states across 8 synagogues. um, and we're like I'm reaching out every day to like 10, 20, just trying to expand it as much as possible, where each of these synagogues center artists and have like these Jewish Artists of the Week, where this initiative isn't like listen to me and listen to my music, but look at all this incredible art, and like all these people, bring them back to the centers of Jewish community and Jewish life, and make them feel empowered and integrate their wisdom. So that's kind of like the idea of the project. But then also there's like multiple things that we're going to host artist retreats with musicians and artists, like because like I did an artist retreat before, uh, where we made an album like over the course of the weekend, and I brought in I don't know if you know Urban Logics,
Yeah.
big legend in the city. He was incredible. I don't Giuini, different musicians in Montreal, and like had them do workshops, and then we created art together, and we made music, and it was like such a lovely experience. So that's going to be a
I remember
component also.
Logix actually was telling me about participating in that, like
Oh
beforehand.
wow,
He was like
wow, wow, wow.
excited for that shit. Like he didn't tell
You
me like it was you or anything,
right?
but Gase, he was like we talked for a while. Like we had these long
Wow,
conversations and whatnot, and
yeah.
I was doing album reviews for Sovereign Music. So like we were
Oh
like chit
nice.
chatting and shit. But I
Yeah,
remember him telling me about that, and I was going, I want to do a fucking workshop. How the fuck do people keep doing fucking workshops? Like it's such a cool
yeah.
thing to do, to like set up,
Oh,
to create, dude. Like that's just big props.